Hey guys, Michael here, and I thought I'd make a little video to talk a little bit about some of the stuff I've been working on that's relevant to the Customer Experience Professionals Association. I'm here in my house in Missouri right now, locked down, so I had a lot of time to kind of read and research, and the big area that I'm looking into right now is kind of like the scientific side behind customer experiences. So there's a lot of emphasis on the customer in customer experience, but I see less so in the experience side of customer experience. So just looking at a lot of work that was done in the user experience world, in the design world, in psychology and sociology, and bringing those all together. And kind of what's really interesting is we can actually now pretty much give scientific explanations for why things are good experiences and why things are bad experiences. So to give you a quick example, I found that all experiences that are bad tend to have one of two key components. It normally is either one or the other, or it's both. So the first one is something you've probably heard of. It's something called friction. Roger Dooley actually wrote a whole book on the subject. But essentially that really is where you have the customer and you have an end goal, and something gets in the way of that end goal. You've probably heard Colin Shaw talk a little bit about how we kind of do a bit of mental accounting. So we have an idea of how much effort's going to be needed to achieve a goal. And then when things get thrown in the way, obstacles, barriers, that's the kind of goal friction. That's one of the elements that I found that can cause a lot of problems. The second one is slightly different. I tend to think of this as like emotional friction instead of goal friction. And the best way to detect if this exists, there's always a classic giveaway actually, is look at customer reviews, and if people use phrases like, I can't believe I was treated that way, or I can't believe I was spoken to that way, it kind of gets into the whole status and the relationship side of, because we're obviously very social species, but a lot of scientific underpinnings of that. And when you have that kind of friction happen in any kind of customer journey, then that can cause that's the other kind of thing that can affect to make a bad customer experience. So those are the two elements. There's different frameworks that you can layer above those to kind of extrapolate them out, make them more in depth. There's one called the SCARF model by David Rock, neuroscientist. So he talks about SCARF, which stands for status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, and fairness. The status, relatedness, and fairness side is more into the kind of emotional friction, and then the certainty and the autonomy is more about being able to predict your experience. Again, do that mental accounting to make sure that it's going to take the right amount of effort and you've got the right amount of control over it. So it really is just those two areas, and I've actually been able to start building out common customer experience patterns that are based on just those two types of friction. So something to consider. I'm going to be writing a little bit more about this in the next few months, but in the meantime, if you're looking at existing customer journeys or building new ones, those two areas are definitely something that you should be considering. And like I said, there's a wealth of scientific studies and books that underpin all of this, and I'll be bringing a lot more of that to the table very soon. So I hope that was useful. Thanks, guys.